Start recording. Alright, we are good to go, man.
Okay, so here are our week 4 picks. We've already gone over these, so let's take a look at how we did. So overall, I did pretty good, I'd say. 12-4, not the best in our league, but pretty good, I'd say. Uh, I definitely wish I had gone with the Bengals. I had felt they could upset, but I was definitely not. But I felt Dolphins were slightly better. But looks like you got that one. But both got Vikings. I felt the Falcons just kind of had a little bit more than the Browns. Same with the Cowboys. Got those right. Uh, I can't really explain the Colts one for you.
Yeah, I just thought they would freaking put it together, and that's not the case. I don't know what their deal is. I think Jonathan Taylor, was he out that game, or was it this week 5 that he was out?
This was week 5. He was out.
So then I went on the premise that Jonathan Taylor was going to be Jonathan Taylor from last year, but that hasn't
Mm.
come to fruition. But maybe since like what, week 2 or week 3, he had one good game, and since then it's
Dude, Cooper
kind of
Cup
hasn't done much.
has been the only, like, if you've played fantasy and you drafted somebody, Cooper Cup has been the only player who, if you had the draft right now mid-season, he'd be the only guy who still who'd go like first and early. Because anybody who drafted Jonathan Taylor first overall is probably pretty upset
Oh
about
yeah,
it.
100%. I'm glad I
I
didn't
mean,
get the first pick
I
because
got
I would have
Najee
chosen.
Harris later, dude, and I'm hating it. Like, I benched him for Rashad White, and Rashad White did better.
Yeah, Najee's having a
Like,
rough year. His O
but
line
yeah,
kind of sucks, but
yeah, a lot of those first round running backs ain't doing too hot.
no,
So overall, here's kind of how we look. Um, I got bumped up to 4th place, and you went from 2nd to 5th.
it's tough.
Uh, I'm at, let's see, what total? Okay, my total points is messed up there, but it's correct over here. So I'm at 775, 36 and 28, which is pretty good. And you're not too. You're only 77 behind me going to week 5, so not too bad.
Not bad.
So here's our week 5 games. I went into this week looking at Thursday night, and I'm just like, you know what, this is gonna be a pretty bad week. I'm not looking forward to it. As far as like for Thursday night, and was I right? Oh my gosh, Colts Broncos was just not a good game.
No, it was a suck fest, and Naheem Hines got that concussion.
Uh,
Russell Wilson missed KJ Hamler in the back of the end zone. I would love to know what KJ Hamler did to tick off Russ.
oh yeah,
Yeah, and we both had them winning, which
yeah,
let's ride, baby.
yeah. I felt the Broncos were just overall the better team. I mean, I don't think there's any way that you could go in and say that the Broncos weren't the better team. Now, I kept saying when I was watching the game, go for the field goal, go for the field goal. And my friends were like, no, go for the touchdown. You don't want a tie. And I'm like, look, a tie is worse than a win. Or is a tie isn't as good as a win. But
Exactly.
you know what? A tie is better than a loss.
Well, you see that in the Kansas City game that happened.
Exactly. It's just
Raiders went
like,
for the win, and they just didn't get it. I mean,
yeah. Oh gosh, that was terrible by the Raiders. Oh my gosh, yeah. Ooh. But I hope Broncos are a better team. Now, I don't think the Giants are a better team than the Packers, but I think the Giants are playing better than the Packers. So I'm going Giants all the way for the Packers game, and I was pretty like I thought about this pick, but I'm like, you know what? I want to go Giants, and I'm the only person who went Giants. I just felt Giants had it.
and we talked about it in class, and we were talking about we thought all their QBs were going to be out, and we are like, who are they going to be playing? And I was like, you know what? I don't think Daniel Jones is playing. I'm feeling good. But let's be honest, Brian Dayball might have a chance at winning Coach of the Year this year. Like, what he's done
Okay,
with that Giants organization right now, it's pretty incredible.
okay. I was talking to my friends about this the other day. Imagine your sideline has Brian Dable, Dan Campbell, and Dan Quinn on it. Like imagine those three as your coaching staff, like for your DCs,
Dude,
OC, and like head coach. Imagine how fired up that team would be.
that team would be like the Bounty Gate,
I mean, it would be amazing
ripping heads
because
off, dude.
oh yeah, like that would be a pumped up sideline. Thing is, the Giants. Now I like data and I like looking at data, so I need more data on the Giants. But the Giants are playing out of their weight class right now,
Well,
and
100%.
I don't know if it's coaching or if it's players stepping up or it's a bit of both. I mean, it's definitely a bit of both, but I don't know if because I mean Barkley stepping up and him being back has made a huge impact on the Giants.
So to me, I was listening to Move the Sticks today with Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks, and they were talking about the Giants and them winning that game, and they were talking about like they think it's Dayball and him scheming it up because Daniel Jones is not like that throw it deep, super strong arm quarterback, but instead he's got a little bit of movement in his legs, like he's good at moving around, and so they're playing
Yeah.
to the players' strengths. They know their personnel, and that's the problem with a lot of head coaches. They go
Yeah.
somewhere and they haven't built that team, and they
Hmm.
play to what they were doing at, let's say, if Dayball like the comparison is Josh Allen and Daniel Jones. Well, Josh Allen can do what Daniel Jones can do and more, where he has the arm, but Josh Allen can also move better. But Dayball recognizes that Daniel Jones has some legs on him, so he uses that
Yeah.
to his advantage instead of trying to sling it deep every play.
Yeah. Well, and I think this is Daniel Jones' best season in the NFL
I
so far.
Yeah, I agree, and I really think he hasn't gotten a fair shake. I mean, I'm not saying he's the a really really good QB, but I don't think he's gotten a fair shake with the weapons that he's had around him and the coaching that he's had.
No.
Because look, he had Jason Garrett, and I'm not a huge Jason Garrett guy whatsoever. I really am not.
Yeah.
So that's all I got for the Giants.
See, my thoughts on Jason Garrett is he's an amazing QB's coach.
Yep.
An amazing QB's coach. That's about it. Um, and you know what? He might have a play. Like if the offensive coordinator is stuck on something, he might be a good assistant to say, "Hey, I think this play would work right here, right now, and go for it." But besides that, and with the Packers right now, they're I want to say the locker room is split, and the locker room's not actually split. But you have Aaron Rodgers, who on every pass play he has, where the wide receiver drops it, he puts it on the wide receiver. He rarely takes credit for it, and there's just no chemistry, and there's a big divide between Rodgers and his receivers. And a lot of QBs don't play preseason. He did not play preseason. He talks about he has no chemistry with his wide receivers. So of course he's not going to do good with them. That's what the preseason's for. So like the Packers, I am not high on the Packers this year. There's just too many question marks, and like I think the team is just a little fragile right now. But yeah, that's about all on that game I got. What is it? I picked the Bills because I mean it's the Bills playing the Steelers. I mean, there's not much to it.
Yeah, there really isn't a whole lot to that game. I was actually able to watch a pretty good amount of that game. Um, the only takeaways I have is the Bills' offense is something else. Like they seriously, Gabe Davis looked really good, but Gabe Davis gets a lot of credit. But let's be honest, if Diggs wasn't out there, Gabe Davis would not be doing what he's doing. So I think that whole offense is really good, and if they somehow, which there's rumors that they're trying to get Christian McCaffrey or they've inquired about him, if that happens, I don't know. I don't know what you would do. Like, how would you defend that offense?
I don't know how well CMC would do in that team. The Bills just don't have a great run-suited team. And Singletary, if he went to other teams, I think he'd do pretty good. Um, I think that team just does not have a great running game, that there's such a pass-heavy or, like, QB run team. I think CMC would do better than Singletary, but I don't know how much better. Like it definitely like an impact, but I wouldn't say it would be like a huge impact. Like they're not going to go from scoring, what is it, 30. If anything, they go from scoring 38-3 to maybe like 42-3. A small impact, but he would make an impact, so that'd be interesting. Now, what is it? Chargers Browns. This was a tough game to pick for me because Chargers have not been playing good, but I felt that they maybe had enough to beat the Vikings, or not to beat the Vikings, to beat the Browns.
Yeah,
That like I
this one for me, I based it off the QB, and Justin Herbert's better than Jacoby Brissett. So that one was, like you said, it was kind of a toss up, but looking at the overall team, I was just like, man, I got to go Chargers. And it didn't take too long to convince me to choose Chargers, but I did hesitate when choosing.
agreed. Now, I did not hesitate on this one. Vikings Bears. Now, it's a division game, and division games, in my opinion, are always 50-50, and you just got to look at the key parts, but, like, Bears aren't playing great. Vikings are playing pretty good. I went Vikings. There's not really too much to it.
No, yeah, the Bears just don't look very good right now. Their receiving core, I think, is one thing that's really hurting them. And I also think, looking at this on the flip side, I'm not going to count out their head coach right now, but I do think if Dayball would have went there, I think the Bears would look a little bit different than they do now.
I agree.
But yeah, I mean the Vikings are playing really good football right now. Um, this next game, I I can't even believe that we. I this next game is crazy to me. I just
Now, on the Vikings, do you think the Vikings might win the division?
um yes, I do. I was worried about the Packers, but the more and more that I'm watching, the more and more likely it seems that the Vikings are going to win. And I do believe that it was tough for me to choose in the offseason. Like before the season started, when we chose, I
Yeah,
probably chose the Packers, but I know the
same.
Vikings were like, I was like almost going to go with the Vikings. I was like, I can't count Aaron Rodgers out, and so I was like, I'll just go with the Vikings. But now
Yeah.
I'm looking like kicking myself in the butt because let's be honest, the Vikings probably are going to win their division.
Yeah, unless thing is, if the Packers turn it around, they'll be a steamroller.
I'd almost say the Lions have a good chance too at winning
Same.
it.
Well, and let's go on to the Lions. I picked the Lions because I felt the Lions were just a better team than the Patriots. But I think the Lions, they are at where they were about week 5 last year. They kept losing and they were burnt out and they weren't doing great. Lions this year are much better, but they're scoring so many points a game that they're just burning themselves out and they're getting injured. And I didn't account for that going into this game. And I think that's what it was. The Lions were a little bit burnt out. I mean, losing 29-0 is not a great. I mean, it's the Patriots with Bailey Zappi. The Lions should have won. I mean, they didn't have Amon-Ra St. Brown. Or wait, I think actually, you know what they did?
He played, but
But
Swift didn't play.
yeah, Swift didn't play, but still, he's not their entire team. But Lions are the better team. But so that's why I went with them. But they let me down.
As a Patriots fan, Bailey Zappi season, dude. I'm so happy that they were able to pull it out. I mean, I haven't been high on this Patriots team, but Jacoby Myers had a really good game. So did Ramondre Stevenson. So some guys stepped up for the Patriots that needed to step up. To me, the Lions, they're a QB away from being a very good team. I think the culture is set good. I think their D line and their linebackers are really good. Jeff Okuda's coming along. I think Jared Goff, he's played good this season, but I still think that they are lacking that QB. And if they have a bad season, or if they can somehow trade and get a good QB in this draft class, I think they'll be good, really good next year. Like, really,
Yeah,
really
no.
good.
I agree. I don't think Jared Goff is holding them back, but I don't think he's pushing them to the next level. And he's trying. He's there with the team and he's trying to do his best. And I think at the end of the day, it's his best is not good enough some games.
Exactly. That's where I'm at. I don't think he's bad. He's not like, I don't know. He just doesn't set them over the edge, which is what they need. Because I think that's really where they're lacking the most. Because their skill positions, especially when they get Jameson Williams in the mix, dude, they are going to be electric this year. They really are.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no. I still have a lot of upside for this team. Hopefully they bounce back. Now, what they week 6 they're playing who are they? No,
Think,
they're not playing week
yeah,
6.
they're on a bye this week.
So it'll be
Because
interesting to
Swift's
see
coming
week
back
7 what
after.
happens. But yeah, so we'll see with that one. Now, this next game, Seahawks Saints. I think Seahawks are the better team than the Saints. No doubt in my mind that Seahawks are playing much better than they were predicted. Saints are playing a lot worse than they were predicted. So I felt hands down Seahawks better team. And I'll go over why I was wrong in a minute.
I'll be quick with this one. For the Saints, for me, I think their defense is the better defense. I think Seattle's lacking a defense right now. Geno Smith has played exceedingly well to his expectations of what he was supposed to do this year, which he might win Comeback Player of the Year, or really he's the breakout Player of the Year, honestly. But with the Saints, I think they've just got a lot of weapons in the better defense, so that's why I chose the Saints.
The Taysom Hill is the only, in my opinion, is the only reason the Saints won that game.
Yeah, Taysom Hill's that guy.
I mean, he just played so good, and every time the Seahawks thought they won, Taysom Hill was right there, ready to go. And I mean they won what 39-32. Had Taysom Hill not played, I think the Seahawks would have won.
I don't disagree with that at all.
Yeah. Now, this game, I was between the Dolphins and the Jets for like 10 minutes. And I'm like, no, I'm going with two huge upsets this week, the Giants and the Cowboys. I'm not going to go with the upset here. So I'm going to go Dolphins. And because like the Dolphins are the better team than the Jets, even though the Jets are kind of hot, I bet against the Jets. And typically if you bet against the Jets, you win. Not the case. Dolphins are a good team. Their defense is good, but their offense was a little shaky. But I still figured that they had what it would take to win this game, so I went Dolphins.
Um, Being a Patriots fan, I was commented on a Patriots fan page thing that I follow that keeps me updated with like roster moves and just like other Patriots stuff. And after like week 2, they were asking like, "What do you think of the Patriots this season?" I was like, "I'm gonna be honest. I think we could finish last in the division because I think the Bills are gonna finish 1. I think Miami is gonna finish 2, and I think the Jets are being slept on." And I got so much hate in the comment section from it saying that the Jets would be better, but dude, they look like a real team right now. Now I'm not saying they're all the way there, but their offense, dude, with Zach Wilson, Garrett Wilson,
And
and
Brees Hall went off.
Brees Hall. Brees Hall is. I'm glad he's doing good because everybody was super high on him in fantasy, and now he's really taken off, dude.
Yeah. Well, talking about the Patriots, I forgot to say this a minute ago. Do you think Bailey Zappi is the new QB2 in New England? Because I think after he played, that the only reason Hoyer is going to be on the sideline is for his knowledge to help Mac Jones. But Bailey Zappi, I think he played phenomenal for getting thrown in there, and then for starting a week.
Yeah, I would hope that he would be QB2. I don't know for sure if he's gonna be QB2, um, just because Bill Belichick freaking loves Brian Hoyer. But
Yeah.
I'm like, the thing with this is, and we'll talk about it when we talk about the Cowboys game. I'll elaborate a little bit more, but I'm all for playing the hot hand. So if Bailey Zappi is playing good and Mac Jones is available to play, well, let's let him heal up and let's just play the hot hand. Let Bailey Zappi play, and if he starts playing bad in a game, take him out and put in Mac Jones. You know, that's how I look at it. But
Yeah. Well, and this is my thoughts on the Bailey Zappi situation. Mac Jones is your QB1. If this is true, and you're truly dedicated to Mac Jones, I would trade Bailey Zappi. And if I were the Vikings right now, Kirk Cousins is playing good, but he's maybe only got about 5 more years. Maybe less. If I was the Vikings, I might try to go get Bailey Zappi right now. And he'd be your backup QB in case things with Kirk Cousins doesn't work out. Now, Kirk Cousins is having one of his better seasons.
yeah, he really is.
But I think Mac Jones is really good. I think Bailey Zappi has shown some good potential, and some teams would be interested in him. I mean, he's young and he showed a lot of upside. Not to mention, if you look at him compared to Tom Brady in the sense of like where he was drafted and how he was kind of shocking how good he did, I don't think he's going to be the next Tom Brady, but I definitely think he's somebody who got drafted later who's going to prove to be better than what people thought. So if I was a team who had a QB who only had a couple years left, and you don't want to draft a QB, I think Bailey Zappi would be a good QB to go grab right now.
Yeah.
Especially with, like you said, Bill Belichick likes Hoyer. And you know what? If Mac Jones is truly your quarterback of the future, Hoyer's a great backup QB because he's got a couple years of experience in his head and who can help develop Mac Jones. Bailey Zappi can't do that.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, that's the truth, and I think Bill will hold on to Bailey Zappi. I don't think he'll trade Mac Jones either, obviously. So I
Yeah.
think that's just gonna be a QB room that I'm comfortable with. I like Bailey Zappi.
Yeah.
I'm glad he's played good.
Yeah. I mean, it's really funny. The Mac Jones is a baby version of Tom Brady, and then Zappi is a baby version of Mac Jones. And honestly, if you look at the three of them next to each other, it looks kind of like it.
Yeah.
Speaking of Brady, Buccaneers Falcons game. This was the fourth upset I was looking at. The fourth of four. I went with 2 out of 4 of my upsets, and I felt the Falcons were either gonna beat the Buccaneers barely, or the Buccaneers were gonna murder the Falcons. I just didn't know which was gonna happen. So I ended up going with Buccaneers to be safe, but I don't want to say Buccaneers are better than the Falcons. I mean, they are better than the Falcons, but like they're not playing like they're better than anyone right now. They're not doing great. And honestly, that roughing the passer call, had it not happened, Falcons might have won that game.
Yeah, I didn't get to watch any of that game. But the way I picked because Brady, and I'm not high on the Falcons, so that's really my only explanation to this game. I really don't have a whole lot just because I didn't get to watch it.
That's fair. Yeah. What is it? Next game, Titans Commanders. I went with Titans because I'm not huge on the Titans, but Commanders are playing terrible, so I figured Titans were gonna win. And that's about it.
Yeah, the Commanders. I'm not a huge Carson Wentz guy, and obviously neither is his head coach. So, you know, I, I, I just don't think the Commanders are a good team. I think their front is very good. Their defensive line. I think they've got great receivers. Other than that, I'm not really high on any of their other position groups. So,
Yeah.
Titans were the team for me. Oh man.
Yeah. And it's kind of the same for the Jaguars Texans. I mean, Jaguars were playing good, better QB, better offense, better defense. They had everything that the Texans don't right now. Texans are still somehow they're at the bottom right now, and Jaguars are starting to come up. So I went Jaguars. They were the better team, but they weren't.
Yes, the Texans win 13-6 on that, and
Hmm.
it was I would say Damian Pierce is the reason they won that game.
And
Damian
Trevor
Pierce,
Lawrence.
yeah. Damian Pierce played really good for the Texans. I mean,
Hmm.
like, I see that's another game I didn't get to watch a lot of or at all, but I've seen highlights, and Damian Pierce was a lot of it.
Yeah, I know a couple of turnovers from Lawrence that definitely helped it.
Yeah.
Um, Another game, 49ers Panthers. Yeah, there was no doubt in my mind that the 49ers were going to win this game. I mean, there's always a chance that the other team could win, but right now the Panthers just aren't it. So I went 49ers. There's really no explanation besides 49ers are better.
Yeah, before this game, I was literally talking to my dad. I was like, Matt Rule's probably out the door. We were talking. I was like, he's like, when do you think he's going to get fired? And I was like, I don't know. They may fire him in season, but I would lean more towards waiting till the off season, and then Monday hits Monday morning, and Matt Rule was fired. I mean,
You know,
yeah,
I don't. But everyone's saying he wasn't cut out for the NFL. I disagree with that. I just think Panthers were a terrible situation, and he couldn't get anything going. You know, if you're a college coach coming to the NFL, you don't need to go to a losing team. You need to go to a team that's a little bit developed already, a team that's kind of doing average. From there, you can actually do something.
it also would have helped for him if he had some NFL experience. Just being in the building of an NFL team before he got a head coaching job, and then also
Yeah.
having the right coordinators. Like, let's be
Oh
honest,
my gosh.
Ben McAdoo. Like,
No.
I hate that guy, and he's done nothing to me, but I just don't like him. And he's definitely a better coach than me. I'm talking like relatively. I don't think he's a very good coach.
You know, Matt Rule had terrible offensive coordinators, which did not help.
Yeah, and he
Um,
gave Joe Brady, the LSU coordinator, the year Burrow and them went to the championship. Gave him a
Yeah.
year and then like fired him. It was
Yep.
like you got to give that dude more than just a year.
Yeah, I was surprised Matt Rule got fired at this point in the season, but my only thoughts on why they did this is they feel that there's no way with Matt Rule they would have a chance this season.
Yeah, and they don't. Whoever the head coach is that comes in is going to have a high draft pick, so they'll be able to get the quarterback that they want, which is probably where they'll go.
I don't know because they drafted Matt Corral, right?
Matt Corral is there, but like when a new head coach comes in, they could give two craps less who's there. I think they should give him a fair shake. I think he's got a chance, but like I wouldn't be
See,
surprised if they drafted one.
if I was Panthers, I would draft defense first round.
I would get Will Anderson if I'm going defense.
Because the thing is, the Panthers have a terrible defense. You know, everyone's saying that the Panthers should trade away more.
I've
for a
heard
draft
that.
pick.
I've heard that.
I disagree with that because the thing is, if you're the Panthers and you trade away more for a draft pick, well, guess what? You now have to replace him. You
I
know,
don't
you could trade
disagree.
Christian You disagree or you don't?
No, I don't disagree. I agree with you.
Yeah, like if anybody, you could trade Christian McCaffrey
Yep.
to like the Bills for like you could honestly get their first and second round draft pick. They probably wouldn't
Easily.
get their second round draft pick.
We're thinking
like-
exactly the same here.
You could get multiple, and the thing is, Christian McCaffrey's hard to replace, but he's also not hard to replace. Because if you're looking at the amount of games he's spent on the team and the fact he's getting older, it would be smarter to get an extra first round draft pick, especially if you're the Bills. And if the Bills have a first round draft pick, what are they going to do with it? They're probably going to draft offensive line or defense. That their team is pretty solid. They wouldn't draft a running back. They would not draft a wide receiver. They might draft a tight end, but let's face it, I don't think there's any tight ends that are going to be worth drafting in this draft. Now, granted, if the Bills win the Super Bowl, there might be a tight end at 32.
I'm pretty
Which is
high on
pretty.
Georgia's 2 tight ends right now.
See, I don't know too much about them, but it's hard to judge tight ends, and
They are
especially
hard to
when
judge.
Dawson Knox is doing pretty good, and like in their offense he's pretty good. So if you're the Bills, you're gonna draft defense, but like Christian McCaffrey would be that great thing, and it would be a way for the Panthers to get a first round draft pick. And if they did win a quarterback, they could trade Matt Corral to like the Texans or like the Packers or a team that could use a young quarterback who has upside, and then you use the ragtag team of Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield and whoever you draft. At this point, I'd say C.J. Stroud is in the minds of about every losing team right now in the NFL who needs a quarterback. Which I think C.J. Stroud will go to the Colts or the Texans, but I think Panthers might be in that. But I think Panthers are going to stick with Matt Corral, but it does depend on that head coach who comes in.
Hey,
And
they
what
could
want to
get
do.
Bryce Young too,
Yeah, Bryce. See,
as long as his injury's not as serious.
I don't like Bryce Young.
I don't like
in
him
the
as much as
NFL.
C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud is like, to me, my favorite quarterback in this class.
Alabama QBs
Yep.
are really good, but they're terrible.
They never
the
make it in
NFL.
the NFL. Which we
The
say that,
reason-
but Jalen Hurts was at one point an Alabama quarterback.
But he has overcome that. Same with Tua. If you're gonna draft a QB from Alabama, I think it's gonna
Mac's
take
been
anywhere
alright.
from 3 to 5 seasons for them to do good. But I think Bryce Young won't make the cut, and it's part of the reason Trevor Lawrence is not making the cut very well. If you were a quarterback who in high school you barely lost and you did not play much tough competition, besides in the playoffs, and then in college you're on a really good team and you're surrounded by a great offensive line and great wide receivers, and then you get to the NFL and your great wide receivers are average wide receivers now, you're not going to do as good. I think Bryce Young got the Heisman partially because who was around him. And if he goes to the NFL and he's drafted to the Texans, he's gonna be like the Browns drafting QBs 5 years ago.
Yeah, he's going to struggle for sure.
That he's gonna struggle and he's gonna get washed out. That like he needs to go to a team that's developed. Otherwise, he's not gonna do good because I don't think he's very good at playing on a team that isn't great.
Yeah. I mean, you hit the nail on the head there. I don't disagree. I think Bryce Young, he has some good things about him. But to me, the best prospect QB-wise is C.J. Stroud. I like his size, his ability. I really like him.
Yeah, he's definitely the best, and I think if he goes to the Texans, he could do something. If he goes to the Colts, he could do something. If he goes to the Panthers, he could do something. Granted, you never know with a QB getting drafted. You never know.
That's so true.
But I do think Panthers. Everyone's saying the Panthers are going to rebuild, and I don't know. I don't know how they don't go into rebuild.
Yeah, I think
That-
they will. I think they'll go into rebuild, and like you said, I think them getting rid of McCaffrey, I think that makes the most sense. Getting as much draft capital or young players